Hey, super friends, my name is Neil, and welcome to a slightly delayed, brand new episode of the Gayer Comic Con podcast. We were due to release this episode last week, talking about Scream 7, which is currently in cinemas across the world. But unfortunately, I had something that may have been flu or may have been COVID. And if you think this is bad, you should have seen me a week ago where I actually ended up spending an entire weekend in bed, like just sweating this shit out. It was not fun. And so this is a slightly delayed discussion about the Scream franchise. Um, yeah, but here we are. I'm feeling better now, and we're back. And I am joined today by Michael, and we are going to dive in to Scream, and our thoughts on this film, which seems to have been, let's say, polarizing. Um, to those who have seen it, it's done incredibly well at the box office. It is probably going to end up being the highest grossing film in the franchise. So I'm no doubt convinced that there will be a Scream 8 coming in the next 12 to 18 months. But reviews have been middling and maybe hasn't quite landed the way they thought that it would, which may or may not be due to behind the scenes things that have happened in the production of this film. Excited to talk about this? How are you, by the way?
I'm amazing, thank you. I'm very excited to talk about this film. I am no stranger to being this franchise and been a huge fan of it.
Yes.
For all of its rights and wrongs and ups and
Yes.
downs, I do love this franchise, and yeah, I'm excited to talk about it because I have a very strong feeling that we have some very different opinions on it, which makes a great
I know.
conversation.
So obviously, I saw it but literally the day before it came out. There was a press screening the night before, and then you saw it opening weekend because you so like beautifully went out to make sure that you had seen it so that we could record that week. And then I was ill. But we kind of decided not to sort of talk about it because we were going to save it for when we finally got to sit down and do it. So I am very, very excited. Um, I thought we could talk a little bit about the state of the franchise and then maybe get into this film. Maybe what we do is we'll talk a bit about our fandom and our place with it before this film. We'll talk about this film and then we can maybe ruminate a bit on where we think it's going to go next. Before we
Yeah.
do, I did just want to touch on the kind of elephant in the room around this film, which is that there are people who are not watching it. There are people who are boycotting it. There are people who are not going out to see it for very personal reasons, political reasons. We have obviously taken the decision that we were going to go and watch it, which we both have done individually. I'm going to read this because I want to get it right. My statement on this is that art can hold complexity. You can be angry about how a film got made, and you can still consider it on its merits, which is exactly what we are trying to do with this. You can acknowledge the politics that are woven into a story without reducing a story to only its politics. You can sit in the grey area, you can ask really uncomfortable questions, and you can arrive at your own conclusions. The whole point of setting up this website in the first place was to avoid the clickbait and to encourage people to talk in a safe space about their fandom, regardless of where they come from, who they are, what they are. And that is what I would encourage. So if you are not interested in hearing about Scream, then you do not have to watch or listen to the rest of this episode. If you do, would love to hear from you what your thoughts on it were. So please do let us know in the comments or find us on social media and let us know if you went and saw this film and what you thought of it. But make your own decisions, and for just underpinning everything, be respectful to people whose opinions don't meet your own. That's kind of been the thing that has been the most interesting to me in covering this film, is where people have been less interested in hearing where I come from and telling me about where they come from on it.
Yeah, it's a really interesting time to be a fan of this franchise, and especially like everything going on behind the scenes, whether you agree
Yeah.
with it or not. Yeah, it's very difficult. But
Yeah.
in the spirit of film journalism and looking at a film for what it is, I feel like, yeah, I'm excited to talk about it. But yeah, it does
Yeah.
come with a heavy heart. But
Yeah, it
yeah.
does. I would love to have still seen Melissa in this film. Um,
Mm.
and I'm so gutted that she's not there because I think she's great. And like, I love her in Abigail. I loved her in the Heights. Um,
Yeah.
she's a great actor. And she's on Broadway. I didn't realize that. I was looking to see what she was doing now. She's in a Broadway show, which is incredible.
Yeah.
So I hope she's going to have massive success in that route. That could be huge for her. But I think the franchise and this film, which we will get to, does miss her not being in this film. That being said, so this is now a 30-year-old franchise, which is wild. Um, So I'm going to presume that you probably did not see maybe the first couple of them at the cinema. You know, given that you are, you know, a bubba.
Yeah, so this franchise is as old as me, and I quite literally, I I do have really interesting memories of this film because it was the first horror movie I ever watched, was Scream
Oh,
1.
that's cool.
I remember watching it at my friend's house. She was called Amy. I remember hearing myself watching it, and I had to walk home after I watched Scream 1.
God.
And I think I was maybe 10 years old. Like, I was way too young to watch a film like that, but that's what you do as a kid, don't you? You put on movies that, like, you shouldn't
I
really
mean,
watch and
I feel like
get
that is
scared
how.
shitless.
Do you know what? There's an interesting psychological study. I wonder how many horror fans are exposed to horror in that way, because I feel like that's the origin story of every horror fan. But I wonder
Yeah,
if there are people like if you ever talk to somebody who's completely horror phobic, I wonder if that's because they weren't exposed as a child, or they were exposed and they were completely traumatized as a child. Um,
exactly. I feel like for me, it did the first one, which was it
that's
made me love
wild.
horror movies. But yeah, I remember walking home and it was near Halloween, and this is probably going to make me sound really old. Do you remember that Scream mask where you could squeeze it and the blood would come out and Ghostface's face would drip of blood? I remember walking home and it was right near Halloween when we watched it, and I saw someone dressed as Ghostface, and it scared the shit out of me seeing him and like just walking around. And yeah, so since then I've just kind of been a fan of horror. I mean, I wasn't a fan in that moment, but since
Yeah.
then it's kind of grown into a love. And yeah,
My
and
my
love
first
it.
one, sorry. It was just I was trying to think what my first horror film was. I'm pretty sure it was Candyman. Um,
Damn.
and that was I was 11 when I saw that. Um, you
Fair.
know when you're in school, like I was in first year of secondary school, and it's like, oh, it's the last day before Christmas. We're not doing lessons. We're just doing like fun activities where we'll do like some arts and crafts, and we'll watch a
Yep.
movie. That was the movie that we watched in like my first year of secondary school.
That's
And I do remember being quite traumatized, only because it's like Christmas when everyone's going to scoff chocolates, and I'm like, well, that's got razor blades in it.
yeah. Do you know what? I have a similar experience. Do you remember the TVs that they used to wheel into the class that was like huge? I
Yeah.
remember I remember it was near Christmas. I don't know why, but they made us watch The Exorcist, which doesn't feel school appropriate. That does not
Wow.
feel appropriate. I
Wow.
was in primary school, which is what, like somewhere between age like 5 and 10. So like
That's
very
yeah,
young.
like 5 and 10, 11.
Yeah. So like that and Scream were like my first like introduction to horror. Which
Wow.
yeah, yeah, and at a very young age.
What was the first one that
But
you saw? What was the first Scream that you saw at the cinema?
oh, that's a good question. It was the one with my numbers are getting mixed up. Scream 5. I wasn't old enough to see Scream 4 in the cinema. I tried to sneak in, got kicked out. Um, and yeah, I don't think I was old enough, or maybe I missed it. I can't remember, but I remember Scream 4 coming out and being so hyped for it. And I was trying to like go on Twitter trying to see any spoilers because I knew I was not going to be able to see it for a long time. So Scream 5 was a really big deal that I got to go and witness it on the big screen. And
So
yeah,
4 was 2011. Do you know what? Even though I was 31, um, no, I was not 31. I was 21. No, I wasn't. I don't know how old I was in 20. How old was I? I don't know. I was old enough. I didn't see it at the cinema either. My first one was Scream 5 as
yeah.
well.
And it, to be fair, Scream 5 was a great film to watch at the cinema. I thought it was, yeah, it was great. I would have loved to have seen Scream 4 though. I know some people love it, some people hate it. I'm
Yeah.
in the love it camp. I think it's amazing. It's one of my favorites in the franchise, for so many reasons. But yeah, I would have loved to have seen it.
There were a lot of people at the press screening that talked about feeling like this one should have called back to 4
Yeah,
as maybe
I
a
com-
better reveal of a killer if you'd brought back our only surviving killer.
yeah. So right, let's dive into it. Spoilers, let's go.
I was
I thought
26.
like
I was
oh,
26. That's how old I was in 2011. Uh,
okay, I was about 17, 16. So I was like right on the edge of being able to see it, but I couldn't. Which is yeah, gutting. But yeah, I thought this movie, this Scream 7. Scream
He is
7.
in.
Yep.
He is in.
We're going because you've
Okay, we're there. We're there.
we're there. Scream 7. So I thought that's where we were going. I thought we was going down that route where our
Hmm.
surviving killer was maybe coming back
Hmm.
because the motive of the killer, that's what it lent itself to. Like I thought Jill was where we were going. Obviously, we didn't end up going there, which we'll get into. But yeah, I thought that's where the story was going to look back and connect, which kind of disappointed me because the reveal wasn't what I would necessarily enjoyed or wanted. But yeah, what did you think? Did you think it was going to connect to 4 as well?
I all right. I hadn't really put that much thought into it until the last few days before I was due to see it. And
Okay.
then going back to the thing that we were just talking about in terms of people's politics, I ended up picking up a troll on social media who was looking for anyone using hashtag Scream or hashtag Scream7 and replying with who are the killers. So I
Oh,
got to the Monday when I was seeing it on the Thursday, and I got a response to all of my tweets and actually all of my posts on Blue Sky that were about the film, just saying um, killers are X and X. So I'd seen it and I was like,
oh,
um, but
that's
all then in the moment I had kind of sort of forgotten about one of them, which is easily done because he's only in 3 seconds of the film. So I remembered who the female killer was, and throughout the film was like, interesting. How are we making her the killer? Um, and had forgotten who he was completely.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. Yeah, I got so I was kind of disappointed with the reveals of the killers, if I'm being honest. Do you
yeah,
know what? Before we dive into that, actually, I was going to ask you a question.
yeah.
Obviously, super fan. What do you think makes a good Ghostface, and what makes a good Ghostface reveal?
Ooh, I think a good ghost face is someone who actually has a genuine bit of motivation, like someone who Sydney either knows,
Hmm.
of which we've more than exhausted the number of people that she knows that should be a killer. Apart
Yeah.
from one, which I will come up with, which could be an idea as to where the franchise might go, um, and someone and the reveal. The reveal needs to be a total shock. They've never really managed to make it shocking
No.
since the first one and then Jill. I feel like all
Yeah.
the other ones have not been a shock, and this was easily the worst of them. Um, because it's
Agreed.
like with the Jill moment in 4, you're just like, what the heck? Like, what? Like, I didn't
Yeah.
see her coming. Whereas this is like, what? Like, who, who,
Who?
who?
When?
Yeah. I don't know what your like because we haven't talked about it. Tell me what your screening was like. Like the press screening,
Mm,
horror press screenings are different to normal ones in that it's always a slightly different crowd. So there tends to be more horror influencers, and like there is a slightly different crowd that gets invited to a horror movie. So they
mm,
tend to be a bit more into it because it's a slightly more tailor, like hand-picked crowd.
yeah.
So for most of the film, people were quite responsive. Um, so like the entrance of Gale, I mean that might be part of the reason I was sick because I was just like, yeah, like I did kind of scream when Gale arrived because that is like one of the best moments in this franchise.
Yeah.
And so it was quite a almost like the way us Brits think of American cinema audiences. Like it was quite rowdy. And
Yeah.
then as soon as the first ghost face mask came off, like it was like someone just went and sucked like all of the tension out of the room, and everyone just went, "Oh."
Oh wow.
Like you
That's
could, like,
interesting.
you could feel it. You could feel the whole room just go, "Oh."
Like that moment killed the momentum of the movie a bit.
Yeah, completely, like
Wow.
completely.
That's interesting. My screening obviously was just a regular old, just public
Yeah.
screening.
Was it busy?
It was packed, to be fair. It was
That's good.
completely full. Um,
Which is why
it,
it
it
made
was,
the money.
yeah, I mean, it was quite a tame um So I guess my only comparison, I've obviously seen 5 and 6 in the cinema, so I can
Mm,
only really compare it to those two.
yeah,
I would say this one was the weakest in terms of reception. Like
yeah,
I have a very distinct memory of, do you know, the ladder scene in New York where
yeah,
they're going across like that. I remember that being quite a vocal and like tense moment, and you could see people kind of like clutching the seat.
yeah.
But I didn't really get any of that in this movie. It was very much I don't know. I wasn't really looking around to be fair, but based on
Yeah.
the vibe of the room, it was very just like, yeah, we're here, we're watching, like we're in it, you know. Um, for me personally, I wasn't as on the edge of my seat as I normally am. I do find these movies quite jumpy, especially in a cinema where the sound's really loud and like
Yeah.
it's got all the good stuff that you want. Yeah, this one wasn't as visceral. I wasn't as like on it, if that makes sense. The
I
only
think the
moment,
kills were quite gory at times.
yeah, so there was two that I kind of like flinched at. I mean, the obvious one was at school, the ballerina, McKenna Grace.
Very early.
Very early, very early. I thought she was going to be a killer. I'm not going to
Yeah, me
lie. I
too.
thought
Me too.
because
Uh, I think it was the fact that I'm this is gonna sound terrible. This is not I'm not being shady. I feel like she because I'm the main things that I know her from are like Ghostbusters. And I feel like I feel like she's hit her like Mean Girl era where someone reached out and was like, "Would you like to be in Scream?" And she was like, "Put me in a boob tube, make me an airhead. Can I swear I want to be a bitch?" And
yeah,
so I was just like, "Why are you trying so hard to be like a mean girl?" I'm like, "This isn't McKenna Grace. McKenna Grace is lovely. She's so sweet, and she's like 12. Who is this?" And then they killed her off, and I was like, "That's why they gave her a song on the soundtrack because she's only in the first 10 minutes of the film."
I will say, do you know, kind of like going back to the original, Drew Barrymore's death was obviously very shocking because it was like she's on the main poster, like she's the
Yeah.
main person, and
She's the
then
most
she's dead
famous,
within.
yeah.
Yeah, I did have that moment with McKenna Grace, but not for that reason. McKenna Grace has obviously famously been the young version of so many characters, or like she's been in so
Yeah.
many things as a kid. So I remember like I was like watching, like, oh my god, they're killing off this really little child that I've seen in every movie ever. Like it was a really strange feeling to see her just like get
Yeah.
gutted. But yeah, I honestly thought she'd last a lot longer. But
Yeah. What was the other
did
one that got you?
the setting on fire at the beginning. I
Oh.
Not my favorite opening kill by any means, but the concept of just being set on fire was a bit gross.
Yeah. I thought you were gonna say the one in the pub, which I
The
think is
fight,
ruined. Yeah, but I think that moment's ruined by really bad visual effects.
yeah, it wasn't amazing for me. I also thought
Yeah.
the one where the girls slid across the bar and gets the glass in the neck, I thought that was a bit of a like not inspired kill. I thought
Yeah,
like
that was I was like, "Oh, okay, is that all she gets?"
yeah, like you've got the really high highs have been like slashed on the the pulley at school and
Yeah.
then just getting killed by a stack of glasses. It was kind of yeah.
Killed by a pint glass. I spent most of the film going, "What do I know her from?" And then right as she was being dragged across the bar, I was like, "Madam Web!"
Her web connects everything.
Yeah. Um, I realized we just got so completely sidetracked. I'm gonna ask you the question you asked me. What
Mm.
makes a good Ghostface? What makes a good Ghostface reveal?
Um, Probably similar to you. I think the motive is so key.
Yeah.
A ghost face motive has to be like I'm not even necessarily one of them people, but it has to be super like Sydney focused.
Yeah.
I could deal with a ghost face that's maybe like in Scream 5 where they've been kind of indoctrinated to this kind of like
Yeah.
online kind of shit. I can deal with that. I think that's a somewhat interesting motive if done well.
Yeah.
It just needs to make sense, and it needs to make sense for those characters to be involved in that story, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then in terms of of a reveal, obviously the reveal's at the pinnacle point of the whole movie. It's why we're there. It's what
Yeah.
everything builds up to. It's the main moment. So it needs to be shocking. It needs to be you can't really see it coming. You need to be guessing everyone. You're not sure. Every character is a suspect, and
Yeah.
you need to be completely clueless. So when the mask comes off, you're like, oh my god, it's them. You know.
Yeah.
Um, but
What
yeah,
I think is interesting is I think there's a lot to enjoy in this film. I think Neve is really great being back. I
yes,
actually, given that she's not the most nicely written character, I eventually came around to Tatum. Um,
Mm,
although I know she's named after Rose McGowan's character, but I just the name Tatum just does not work for me. Um, I don't know
no.
why. Uh, there are some great kills in it. I think Gale is great as well. Like Gale's entrance is genuinely like iconic in this film. Um, and
Yeah.
I like when they do the credits at the end and everyone was coming up on screen and it was like and Courtney Cox. I properly like screamed the cinema down because people had been cheering for other people in the film, and then it got to her and it was like, and I'm like, I'm sorry, no, 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 this is Gale.
No.
Like,
Yeah.
please, like bow to Gale.
Put
Um,
some respect on her name.
But even though there are good points in it, both of us have gone straight to talking about the killer because it's like, well, you have to talk about how crap that reveal is.
Yeah, it was not good enough. I think okay, so we're obviously spoiling, just
Yeah,
FYI if you
actually,
still
I don't know why we're dodging around this. The killers are Jessica, played by Anna Camp, and um,
the
a
psychiatrist
man.
who's the psychiatrist from
Is that Marco, played by Ethan Embry, or is it? I don't even know who it is on the cast list. It's that bad.
yeah, it is that shocking. Let me double check. I think you're right.
I think it's Ethan Embry, and his character name is Marco. Essentially, if you're watching this and you've decided not to watch the film and you're taking the spoilers from us, Anna Camp's character Jessica is Niv Campbell, so Sydney's next door neighbor and friend, um, based on one coffee, and she is co-killers with a man from an insane asylum who is in one scene when Sydney and Gale go to the asylum and is then revealed as the killer. um,
Yeah,
which also I don't understand because he's never even met Sydney until the killings have already started.
yeah. It doesn't make sense. And
No.
do you know what was one detail that I still can't get out of my head? And I'm sure someone could probably debunk it, but in my brain it makes absolutely no sense at all. So do you know the scene where Tatum's in the coffee shop and she's been chased by Ghostface and she's
Mhm.
obviously put the code in and like locked the door? Why would Anna Camp's character necessarily know the code to the shop to get in? Just because she's neighbours with Sydney, that doesn't mean
Yeah.
she's gonna know her like
Code.
key to her business. And
Yeah.
that detail pissed me off so much because there's so many small ways that they could have done it. So
Yeah.
for example, at the beginning, like when Sydney goes to a coffee shop and she's running late, a really minor detail to Anna Camp's character that would have been great is, "Oh, I've covered you this morning and I let myself in and da da da."
Yeah.
And "Oh, thank you for covering me, neighbor," and then moving on. That small detail would have made that one scene make sense, but it didn't make sense. It pissed
Yeah.
me off to no end.
Yeah. Um, that made me think. Well, okay. So one that gets me: did she
Go
kill
on.
her own son?
I think she did. Which do we think the son knew that she was the killer? Is another question because I think
Ooh,
because
that hadn't even crossed my mind.
Because he's painted out as like, oh, he's definitely a ghost face. Him and his mum are definitely in on this plan, and
Yeah.
he's obviously very technologically minded. He obviously knows a
Yeah.
lot about deep fakes, which is a huge part of this entire movie. And there is a part where, like, when Ghostface is dragging that character to inevitably kill him, I don't know if it's just the way the actor played it or if it's just the way I read it, but I was like, does he know that that's his mum or not? Because it could go either way, and I'm
Yeah.
still torn.
Yeah. I genuinely hadn't put any thought into it, but obviously, while I'm watching it in my head, I know that one of these is her. And I was thinking, so I was looking at it thinking, well, what I was trying to think in my head in that moment was, is the other name that I was given um, Asa German, who played Lucas? Um, or am I just making that up and it was a different guy? So I genuinely couldn't, in my head was thinking, maybe it was the son then, maybe it's the two of them. So I was thinking that that was going to be a fake out death so
Mm.
that they would think that he was dead and then we would get the reveal that it was the mother and the son. Mother and son would have worked better for me.
It would have to me too. My whole pitch for this movie, obviously, because again, I'm just rewriting the script live on this podcast. But like, what I would have loved is because obviously Anna Camp's character is obviously not all with it, and she's got a few screws loose. What would have been cool is if the person that she was going to see in the asylum or the mental facility wasn't Stu, but was pretending to be, and it like twisted her brain, and like they'd maybe had a kid, and she thought she was in this relationship with this person, and then
Yeah.
she snaps because she realized she's not, and it's all because of Sydney. That would have been
Yeah.
a better moment than just
Yeah.
hiding her.
Yeah. Because, all right, my recollection of it is she had read Sydney's book.
Yep.
She was in an abusive relationship.
Mhm.
And so reading Sydney's book gave her the strength to do what she needed to do, which was kill her husband.
Yeah.
But
But
then, because Sydney disappeared from public life, which is sort of a plot point but not very well explored, she then got really angry and
yeah,
became a ghost face.
it's such a weak motive.
Well, because the thing that I hadn't thought of, which I'm now thinking of because I'm thinking about it, is
Mhm.
so how did she end up living next door to her?
That's what I mean. Like, if she disappeared off the face of the planet and she was annoyed that she'd disappeared,
How did
like,
yeah?
where's that thread to be like, oh, well, I moved next door to you because of XYZ, and I did it because of XYZ. It's just
I
completely
suppose
left.
because I guess she's got to be easy to find because she's got a business, which people would be like, "Oh, this business is owned by Sydney Prescott." So I guess she's
Yeah.
easy to find, but none of that is threaded into the story. So there isn't any of that sense there to try and help it make some sense. Interestingly, I saw, and I can't say too much because I didn't. It was I was just flicking through reels and caught a little bit of it while I was on my lunch break at work today. Anna Camp was being interviewed for, I think it was a podcast, um, and she's
Yep.
literally sitting there saying, and I don't know the context, so I don't know if she was being shady about the film or whether it was just the way she was talking about it. But the clip that I saw was her basically saying there was nothing. I had to come up with my own backstory. I had to make it all up because none of it was there. Right.
Yeah.
So none of it. I mean,
I,
some of it must have been there because you, in dialogue, talked about why you were Ghostface, but
yeah, I saw that clip too. She was speaking about because obviously her character, you see her twice for like maybe 40 seconds at a pop. Like she's so not
yeah,
seen
because you
until you
see
need to
her,
see it.
they go for coffee. Like she's
Yep.
in the, her and Sydney have that kind of heart to heart about being a parent,
Hmm.
and then you see her after the first Ghostface has been killed,
Yeah.
because she walks to the house, doesn't she? And Gail's like, "And who are you?" Um, and then I don't.
Yeah.
Do we see her again after that?
No, I don't think you do. I think it's just them two scenes and then the reveal, which
So
is
she gets two scenes and then revealed, and then the other guy gets one scene and revealed.
yeah. And then like going back to four as a comparison, like I actually saw something actually, which was each Ghostface's screen time in
Ooh,
comparison
interesting.
to each
Yeah,
other. Her Ghostface is primarily her screen time is primarily at the end, where someone like Jill's kind of
yeah,
she's quite steady throughout the entire movie. Like it
yeah,
keeps you guessing.
yeah.
What
And like Jack Quaid is in the entire of Scream 5.
Yeah, and then when you compare like who's been cast in the movie, like you've got all of these unknown characters and then Anna Camp, who we know from like so many movies. It doesn't hide what she's doing very well. So even from like a casting point of view, like it just set her up to fail, which is
It's a
sad because
That's like the old, this is way before your time. It's in theory before my time, but I know the theory. Um, so Murder, She Wrote, as in the TV
yeah,
series, Angela Lansbury, you can predict every single killer because it's always the single most famous person on the guest cast.
yeah,
Every time, every single episode. Uh, it's like the worst thing you can do. But then the other thing that this movie does, which almost becomes meta, and they almost do it well, and then they completely mess it up, is you bring back Jasmine Savoy Brown and Mason Gooding, who I love both of them, and I love these characters.
me
Um,
too.
and you have them do their thing, especially Mindy doing her thing where she's going to get it wrong. And they're pointing the finger at every single person, which is, what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to think, you even have already said it in this podcast. We're supposed to sit there and be like, which one of you is this?
Yeah,
But then this film kills every single potential killer off to the point where there isn't actually anyone left other than
yeah,
her own daughter, which that would have been one fucker of a twist if it had been. This is the
Hmm.
language is terrible on this episode, by the way.
Sorry,
Um,
it's my
this one here,
influence. I'm sorry.
I'm going to have to tick the box that says expletives are included. I mean, I started it. I said it first. Um,
But
I dropped the first bomb. Yeah, there's no one left, basically. There is just
yeah,
there's literally no one left other than Anna Camp and Sydney's own daughter, who it can't be because she's got a knife to her throat.
yeah. I think it just doesn't do a very good job at like the balancing act of what a scream should do or like a
Yeah,
reveal should be or keeping you guessing. I mean, it is ultimately a who done it.
yeah,
And if you get to the end and you're like, oh, well, I know who did it before I even walked in because of the cast list, it's not done its job very well. Or at least it could have done a better job at hiding it and make you really question your like
yeah,
logic and thought.
yeah,
But yeah, it just wasn't clever enough. Which
yeah.
leads me to another point. I don't think this movie was meta enough, like at all. I
Is
thought
it
it
weird, isn't it? Because I actually thought it was quite meta, but lots of people have said that they feel like they didn't do it enough this time around.
I there was such a something in the commentary because obviously these films are so like synonymous with talking about like we have the phrase requel because of this
Yeah,
movie,
because of this.
you
Yeah,
know, this franchise. And I just feel like it did a really naff job at like good going down any kind of like social commentary, like meta kind of anything. I just thought it did a really terrible job. It just wasn't. Yeah, it just wasn't up to par with what I appreciate, and I can't put my finger on exactly what it was
yeah.
specifically. It's just the lack of it, I guess, is what let me down.
Mm. Um, Stu Macker,
Mm.
Matthew Lillard. Now, had they revealed that he was still alive, which they've said they haven't actually told us that he is dead and he could still actually be alive. Um, how does that work for you? Does that work for you? I mean, he had a
Sure,
TV dropped from his head.
I know it was the old big '90s ones as well that used to wheel in at school.
Yeah,
Um, I do you know what I find funny about this is the movie itself acknowledges that Stu being alive would have been a better storyline than the one we actually got. There's a line I think at some point I think Sydney says it where she's sat around the table with Gail and they're talking about potential killers and like is he alive, is he not? And there's a line in there where she acknowledges that Stu being alive would actually be way more interesting than whatever's going on.
yeah.
And I actually think, yeah, they're right. Like it would have been way more interesting. I think the deep fake AI like think piece that the film was trying to do, it just didn't work for me. And I feel like Stupid Alive would have been way more interesting.
It should have worked. I think that's the one of the things that I find really frustrating is
Mm.
actually when you go back to that first one and think about the house phone, and it was the thing
Mm.
with the house phone, and then in theory, I can remember a time where people were like, "Well, this is ruined because no one has one anymore. We've all got mobiles," and the joke was, "Well, Ghostface can't phone someone's house anymore. We've all got caller ID and we've all got mobiles, so you're just going to be like, well, I can see who you are. I can tell you who you are phoning me." Um, and that kind of ruined the original premise. But now you have, the whole idea of the voice changer that they've been using in every single film is kind of ruined by the fact that you can now make someone who you thought was dead appear alive through a deep fake. So you
Yeah.
really could have like properly messed with Sydney by using the deep fake technology better than the way they did. And I thought the stuff with Stu was actually all right. Um, it only went really south when she was back home and every different screen in her house was a different returning person. Only because, right, this is where I thought it was kind of meta. I'm like, did you do it like this on purpose or is this just naff? I like the choices of who they brought back because they
Yeah.
were the right kind of people to have messed with Sydney. But why was it done like I was at Haunted Mansion at Disneyland?
That's so funny. I have in my next note to mention is why does it feel like I'm at some kind of theme park? Like it was like Ghostface of history. Like you're walking through like a hallway of well, this is Ghostface from one, this is Ghostface from two. It was not done in a way that was like good enough. It would have been more interesting if throughout the movie, every time, like, because obviously she's answering the phone on FaceTime, it would have been way more interesting if every time she answers it's a different Ghostface from the past instead of just like this random hallway of like iPads of old killers. It was just weird.
It's like when you're like, oh, I've gone on the Marvel ride at Disney, and Paul Rudd has filmed a cameo. So whilst I'm
Exactly.
sitting in the Ant-Man restaurant, I've got him being like, "Hey, isn't this funny? Welcome to my restaurant." And that is
Yeah.
literally what it was like. I'm like, no, why? Why have you played this for a laugh when this could have been like the psychological torture of Sydney? Mm,
Yeah, exactly. They kind of missed the trick with it, and
yeah.
it made me laugh. My eyes literally rolled when that scene started to happen, and she's going around and like turning the iPad over and turning the camera off. For God's sake, like, because
So
yeah, like it was right there.
did you read about the fact that they actually did have Stu alive?
No.
Um, so there was a version of the movie where Stu did turn out to be alive. He wasn't one of the killers in this film. They were always the killers, but Stu was genuinely alive and torturing Sydney. So I don't know, and this is where I don't know because they've not gone as far as saying it, but I don't know if those phone calls were supposed to be real and he was pulling the strings of these two people, and then they changed it, and in changing it, it sucked all of the tension out. Because what Kevin Williamson said was that they tested the film in America with audiences with Stu alive, and
Mm.
audiences hated it. And
Okay.
they focused on him being alive as the thing that was the biggest issue with the film. So having tested it and it testing really badly, they took it out. But I wonder whether that would have worked better, because do you then have the guy from the mental institution hearing about this horrible Sydney from Stu, and then Anna Camp's character going to visit and having a
Mm.
relationship with what turns out to be Stu, and being poisoned against Sydney. And they're both, they both are these fragile people that get almost indoctrinated by an original Ghostface. Bang, you've got a much better motive for why they're after her. So maybe that was we know it's not the original script because there is other people who had written versions of this film. But for this version of the film that Kevin Williamson wrote and directed, I wonder if the shooting script had a very different reason for what was supposed to have happened that got pulled out because they had to change it because the test audience didn't like Stu being alive. Because what he's now said is this has done so well that they probably will make another one. What's now not to stop this from being like a 2 film arc and us
Mm.
finding out that this has all been Stu all along? Not like
Yeah.
7 films all along, but like that these 2 films have been Stu manipulating people around him to go at Sydney to get at her from different ways till he goes for her himself.
I mean, that would have been a more interesting
Mm.
plot. I think. I think if that is what happens, then it might make this film in retrospect be a little bit more interesting. But
I do have a hot take.
go
So
for it.
I said I was that there was a thing that I was thinking about for the next film. What if it's Gail?
That would be pretty cool. She's got PTSD from the last attack. We see it in this movie.
The way she was portrayed in this film, I was a bit like, I'm not unconvinced that you don't hate Sydney for the events of 5 killing off Dewey, and then 6 them coming back after her. That you're not now just sending crazy people after her.
Yeah, and obviously there's the through line of like she's been phased out of her job. She's no longer relevant.
Yeah,
I That motive is way more interesting than
yeah.
what
I was
we've
just like,
got.
oh shit, Gail could go dark.
Yeah. And they did kind of like lay the groundwork for that, to be fair. Like again, she had
Yeah.
like PTSD. She was like obviously taking some form of pill to deal with like whatever like mental issues she was facing. So I feel like it could happen. I'm not ruling it out.
I don't think you can
But
rule anything out with this franchise.
no. Do you know what I would love them to do? To go back to the introduction. Do you know what I think would be a really interesting way to open this movie? Is having having Sydney appear to be the opening kill. Having a
Mm.
fake out where like as the slash goes down and Scream starts, you think she's died, and for the entire movie, the movie's playing, and you think she's dead, and the entire audience is like, "Oh my god, the rules out the window. We've lost the main person. We've seemingly moved on." And then, as the film comes to its third act, you realize that the opening sequence is the end sequence, and she did die, and it tricks you into believing she died. I think that would be a really cool like concept for a Scream film.
I
Do you know, like
like
where
it.
it goes back on itself in like a meta way,
Yeah.
but it tricks the audience in thinking Sydney's dead because they're never going to kill her. But it'd be cool to just see what
I
happens if
wonder if
they
she would
try.
continue to keep coming back. I hope she would not. I would hope she would have the wherewithal to eventually go, do you know what, guys? I think she's been through enough.
Yeah,
I'm
I do
amazed her
feel like
husband is still alive.
yeah, that is also a plot point that kind of annoyed me. He got stabbed very early on in the day, and then they just pull him out on that tarp like hours later with multiple stab wounds, and somehow he's still alive because he's tough to kill, or like they gave him a
She,
phrase like
was it? Did she leave for work?
yeah, she like, left for work in the morning. He went into the garage.
Yeah,
He got attacked. Then the full day goes by. It's like middle of the night, like it's after the whole coffee shop sequence, and
yeah.
it's when she goes home, and they just drag him out in the bag. Like a full like day's gone by, and he's
It's got
still
to be
alive,
12 hours or so.
like just bleeding out. So like, how was he alive? Like he got literally stabbed like multiple times. Like it wasn't even like one and done. So yeah, but no, it's because he's tough as nails or whatever it was they described him as.
I mean, you
But
need to be a Mindy or a Chad because they can survive anything.
yeah, multiple stab wounds and just walk out of there fine. But yeah,
Yeah,
I feel like the time limit going to New York and seeing the franchise move out of Woodsboro and that character and that cast, and it was refreshing. It can
mm,
do it clearly. The franchise can exist out of the foundations that it's laid. And I do feel we're getting to the point where like Sydney's story needs to just be like put away for a bit. Like let's let her just rest and move on. Because the concept of a killer in a mask, we can do so much with that. And I think her
that's the
story
thing,
is
isn't it? Yeah, I mean, if we want to kind of move to sort of future of the franchise a bit, um,
yeah.
you don't have to have her always be the focus of the killer. Like, even if you wanted to keep her in it in some respect because you feel like that's going to bring back the inbuilt audience, you can
Mm.
have like Ghostface is a legend at this point. Like the entire of America in this world knows about Ghostface. Sydney is famous. Everyone knows about it. It's been national news. That is enough to inspire any weirdo to be a Ghostface. So you can come up with any story of anyone that wants to kill off some random final girl and then have if you really have to have Sydney in some way, she almost becomes like the Scooby Doo, not calling Neve Campbell a dog, of like the franchise, in that she comes around like myth busting ghost faces. Like somebody somewhere pretends to be Stu Mucker in some other part of America to freak out some girl. Myth busting Sydney comes in and is like, no, actually, it's Jim the butler. Because actually,
Brilliant.
to be fair, the reveal of the guy from the asylum was very much like a
Mhm.
Scooby Doo moment where it's like, it's Old Man Rickles. Um,
It was. Do you know
yeah,
what? Speaking of Scooby Doo investigation, how
McKenna
did
Grace as Daphne.
well, what a great through line. But
Mm.
how did Kirby not show up? She in
Oh
six, her
yeah.
whole she's doing this like undercover, not FBI, but FBI like researching Ghostface killings. Where was she here? Because that feels like that would have fit in the story
I
quite
wonder if
well,
she, yeah, I
surely.
don't know if she was asked to come back or not for this one. Hmm.
But like where we left her and like what's happening in this movie, it kind of feels like the perfect,
She'd
like
been all over it.
yeah, more than Gale in a way. Like I know Gale's always going to be there and investigate, but like Kirby's kind of like underground, not FBI, but FBI skills. It seems like she'd be into that, so it feels
Yeah,
weird that she's not here.
yeah.
You know? But yeah,
Any
interesting.
other kind of ideas about where you think it could go or you would like it to go?
I would like to see it in a different country in the world. I think
Oh,
it's very American, and there is nothing wrong with that at all. I think it clearly has suited it, but I would be interested to see what this franchise looks like if you took it out of America and maybe put
Yeah.
it in somewhere like Europe, like it could be the UK, it could be Australia, it could be anywhere. It'd be just cool to see what that looks like in a different place in the world, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that would be interesting. I can't imagine what it would be like if you did it here.
I mean, not to be too morbid, but knife crime is a huge thing in the UK, which
That's
I
quite
don't
true.
and I don't want to make that connection
You don't want to
in
make not making light of it, but yeah.
yeah, like I'm not making light of it, but like in all seriousness, like that it feels like it could happen to anyone, which is the whole point of Scream. Like that literally, it's a person
Yeah.
in a mask with a motive, which feels very
Outside
yeah.
my window.
So
Yeah, that's an
yeah,
interesting one. Yeah. I just need to see it do something fresh now. It needs to surprise us. And the only thing that worries me is the fact that this one has been so successful money-wise that they
mm,
think that it's universally loved by the fan base. I would still like them to listen to what objective fans are saying about what they think did and didn't work.
yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. I think there's definitely some things that they need to take on board, especially in the script department. I think
Yeah.
at bare minimum they need to yeah do some improvements with like the way they write and like the way they do like the reveal and all of the things that we've obviously
Yeah.
mentioned today.
Yeah. Something else flashed across my mind there, but it's gone again. What I was going to say as to, yeah, I know what I was going to say. Um, there was a moment, there was just like the tiniest moment where, um, so right before the screening started, um, one of the guys that I know that I normally kind of sit with said there's a mid-credit scene because he'd Googled, and I mean, all it is, spoiler alert, if you've not seen it, is just Chad and Mindy doing a news report. It's barely even mid credit. It's like almost like straight away as soon as the credits start. Um, but towards the end of the film, my mind started sort of turning to what that could be, and I was just like, oh my god. It's gonna be Chad and Mindy doing the. I half had it right. I thought it was going to be Chad and Mindy doing like a news story, but I was like, we're going to see it on a screen, and then it's going to zoom out, and it's going to be like it's going to be Sam or something ridiculous, and all of
Mm,
this kind of political like uproar and all this talk about the film and Melissa and everything is going to get completely undone because they've managed to like score her back for a credit scene where we find out that Sam's been watching this from afar and like
mm.
she's just seen it on the news and I was just like, oh my god, is it going to happen, is it going to happen? And then obviously it didn't, but I was like, that would be a good way to bring them back in if they can make peace and bring her back into this franchise, which I think they kind of need to.
Yeah, they need to because I feel like both Melissa and Jenna Ortega brought something to this franchise that was definitely missing in this
Yeah,
iteration. Um, yeah, they had like a freshness to them, like the sister dynamic and just everything that their characters did felt fun to watch. It felt like exciting. It didn't feel like we'd seen it before.
I think the only
It
thing
didn't.
was that it felt a bit like there was nowhere left for Sam to go other than to become a ghost face,
Yeah,
and I don't think
agreed.
she would have enough reason to go for Sydney
Yeah, they'd have to find someone for her to go for.
other
That's a very
than,
fair point.
I suppose they'd probably twist it and say, well, Sydney killed her dad, so she'd want to kill the killer of her dad.
Yeah, yeah. I don't
Yeah.
know. You know what? I do have a thought actually that I want to get your opinion on because
Oh,
I found this a very interesting plot point. The whole point of this film, like between Sydney's character and Tatum, is she never teaches her anything about survival or prepares her for
mm,
absolutely anything at all. I found it really interesting in the fact that there's a scene where when um Sydney's husband gets stabbed, he closes the garage door, which is obviously kind of like a callback to Tatum's original death.
yeah,
I would have found it so interesting if we actually saw Sydney teach Tatum any lesson, like remote, like anything. Even like don't go through the garage door, and then she had a chase scene where she's like, I can't go through there because something, just something that was a callback to like why she's named after that character, and learn from the original Tatum's death in a way. I would have loved that, but we never
yeah,
got it. I'm curious what
yeah.
you thought. Did you actually think she taught her anything?
I wondered whether they were trying to avoid certain sort of horror tropes. Like, if you
Mm,
think about like Jamie Lee Curtis in the most recent Halloweens and how her kids were a bit messed up. And then
Yeah.
if you think about like uh oh, Final Destination, the Final Destination from last year, where it went to the um whoo, I have an amazing full circle. So the girl from the flashback, when you see her old and she's living in her like house surrounded in like by spikes and barbed wire and all these different traps. I think they were
Yeah.
trying to avoid that and do something different because it seems to be like the poor female character that has supposedly survived all these kills will end up completely like bonkers. And in fact, if you
Mm.
watch the trailer for Scary Movie, um, they're playing on it as well by having her like completely crazed when you first see her and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think they were trying to avoid that. Okay, right. It's weird that I went to a Final Destination place. So the flashback to the restaurant with the poor girl that um, is the main character in that flashback.
Hmm.
That's Stargirl from DC's Stargirl, the TV show. Um, Brett Bassinger. Um, she's not in Scream. However, uh, this Scream is the town from Stargirl, the DC show, which is that actor. But that series also stars Joel McHale, that is Neve Campbell's husband in this. So I was like, oh, look, he's from Stargirl. This is shooting in the town from Stargirl. It's also the town from Peacemaker season 2. It's
Oh,
obviously
nice.
just like a town set that's somewhere. I think it's in Atlanta. It's obviously just used a lot. I think it's been in a couple of Marvel movies as well. It might have been in one of the Guardians films for like the flashback to where I have a feeling it might be the town from like Star Lord's flashbacks to when he was a kid. Um, it's definitely been
Okay.
used by Marvel in a few different things. But it was just really weird because when Tatum is running around in the like after curfew, she runs past a side street and you can see a mural, and I'm pretty sure it's the mural that was painted there for Peacemaker season 2. Because I was like, oh, because there's like the main poster for Peacemaker is the cast painted on this wall, and
Yeah.
it's not the cast in the show; it's something else. But I was like, it's the wall. It's, am I seeing this? It's just a really like once you've seen it once and you know what that town looks like, it's hard to kind of forget it, and it's just like instilled in my brain that it just gets
Yeah.
used in a lot of TV shows. Um, Sorry, random tangent there.
No, love
Um,
that. I think it's interesting.
yeah, Atlanta, obviously a very hot place to shoot that places love to work in, and it's just funny that they keep using the same. I don't know if it's a backlot or if it's a real town. It just seems to crop up a lot at the moment in different
It
stuff.
is. Yeah. Love that. Very interesting. It did feel very familiar when she was running out in the street screaming, "Can someone help me?" Even though there was a curfew and no one around. Um, it did feel very familiar.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Um,
yeah,
have you thought about how you would rate this on a scale of 1 to 5 if you were giving it a star rating? I gave it 3 in my review.
I really like. I don't want to be an absolute hater, but it would probably be a 2,
Well, no,
if I'm honest.
if that's how you feel, that is how you feel.
Yeah, I there was some positives. I do. There was aspects
Yeah.
of the film I really liked, but yeah, it sits very low on the ranking of the Scream franchise overall for me
The thing with
personally.
horror franchises is as well, more so than any other kind of franchise, they can survive and bounce back from something like this. Like if you look at the
Mm,
Saw movies, you look at the Halloween movies, they have had films like this that have ended up splitting the fan base or being generally thought of as just not great. Hellraiser as well.
yeah,
All of the big horror franchises that have got like multiple entries, and they tend to be able to bounce back from it by having a good one and having a creative resurgence, which I don't think you see many other franchises kind of come back from outside of horror
no,
anyway.
yeah, it's interesting. I think for me, because a lot of these franchises they can tap into different elements. Like Saw, obviously, the whole point of Saw is how can we kill people in a very weird way. I think what Scream's issue is it is just literally a person in a mask with a knife, and that's why I think it hinges so much on its story and its script
Mm,
because it doesn't have anywhere to hide really.
yeah,
Well, like Hellraiser and stuff, they've got these really big flashy set pieces, and you're not really bothered if the story is a little bit loose because you are there just for like
yeah,
the coolness, you know. Like
yeah,
yeah, a lot some of the Hellraiser stories are really fun, but I think Scream's kind of it sits on this weird level in the horror community where we expect it to be well written and we expect it to
Mm.
be
It needs to
clever.
be, yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, this one just
And
didn't.
it's just not one of those ones where you can go and do like it's suddenly 800 years in the future and the killer is loose on a space station kind of situations.
No, no, you can't. And I think when you've got movies like Ready or Not, like that are doing, like slasher movies in a really interesting, meta, funny, kind of
Yeah.
brutal way, I think it kind of puts the perspective into place a bit. And you look at Scream, like, come on, like you are like an amazing,
You're
iconic
the
franchise.
original.
You can, you are the original, and you can do better than this, and we expect better from you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's kind of how I feel.
Yeah. On topic of Ready or Not, I've got my screening booked.
Oh, I'm so
Um,
excited! It looks amazing.
I've also got a screening booked in now for the one with Zazie Beetz in it.
Oh, that one looks good too. The
With
name
the
slips
crazy
me, but
They Will Kill You. So Ready or Not 2, I'm seeing next Thursday, the 19th, and then They Will Kill You, I'm seeing on the 25th.
very nice. That's so exciting.
But we seem to be quite stacked for horror at the beginning of this year, which is interesting.
Yeah. Do you think it's because they do it now, so then when they can be on like streaming and stuff for October? So if you've
Probably,
missed it, it's like watch this year's top horror movies.
yeah, yeah,
Probably.
yeah. I think that's
Yeah.
probably all we can say on this. I don't think we can exhaust it that much more. Otherwise, we'll be flogging a dead horse as much as this film script possibly is. Um,
Yeah.
I think my final thought on it is they do maybe need to think about this being a franchise that can't go on forever.
Yeah. That's a really interesting thought. Or at least if they do want it to continue forever, they need to think
You need
about
to,
it. Yeah, they need to think about like what the next step is and what makes it
yeah.
feel correct, you know?
Why would someone still want to be a Ghostface in 20 years' time when Neve Campbell is retired from acting, and I don't want to see Isabel May still playing Tatum at sort of the age that Neve is now, and it's just generationally going through this family.
Yeah, and I would also really like to see the films, the newer films, like from five onwards, have been very much reflective of like the original killings and the past and what happened, which I think are really important to the franchise. But we've had like three movies at this point that are all about the history of the
Yeah,
killings and da 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 da. I'd love the franchise just to swing big and like create a new moment that sets up a new cast of characters and a new storyline for us to
yeah,
follow. You know,
yeah.
but that'd be my wish.
It's a good wish. It is a good wish. So, as I did say at the beginning of this, if you have seen this film and you would like to let us know what you thought of it, please do either hit us up in the comments below this, or come find us on social media at Get Your Comic Con, or you can find me at Neil Vag, and let us know what you thought of it, because it does seem to have really polarized the audience. So I would love to know what people out there who have seen it thought of it. We will be back earlier than planned, all being well, because we were a week late releasing this episode after I was ill. We should be back next week. We don't really have a plan for what we're talking about yet. So, as we are recording this, the next episode will be a surprise. But we'll be back. We'll be back next week with hopefully something equally as exciting as what has been almost an hour of Scream.
Yeah, I've had a really good time talking about it though. I feel like we've
Yeah.
covered a lot of ground, so I'd be
We have
interested to see
covered a
what
lot of
anyone else
ground,
thinks.
indeed. Yes.
Yeah,
Remind everyone where they can find you on social media.
of course. So you can follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and all of the other good stuff at the Digital Spiral.
And that just leaves me with my usual sign off. Stay safe, stay well, and I will see you out there. Avoid any ghost faces. Just lock your doors, bolt your windows, and be safe. See you next time. Bye.